Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. The Northwest Territories Power Corporation, or NTPC, says a decrease in territorial funding is complicating negotiations for rates in the territory. It's the latest in the Power Corporation's ongoing rate application. Now, the Northwest Territories government says it's taking part of the responsibility for affordable power into its own hands. Jocelyn Chappelle explains.
NTPC says power rates have to go up 18.8%, but the GNWT has instructed that power rates can't go up more than 15%. NTPC's response last week outlined the reasons why it says that just isn't possible. It all comes down to money. In December, the territorial government announced $48 million over 4 years to limit rate increases and help manage the cost of living. But now it has a different plan. Instead of giving a bulk of that money to NTPC to manage costs, the GNWT says it will work to keep power rates affordable. That means it's not giving the full $48 million to NTPC, which NTPC says is a problem. It'll receive $18 million over this year and the next to go towards millions in old expenses. That includes expenses like extra fuel for the Tulton Hydro Overhaul Project and low water levels. But even with the government funding, it's still $45 million in the hole. NTPC is proposing collecting that balance from customers over 25 years. Gordon Van Tighem is the chair of the Public Utilities Board. He says they are on the edge of many negotiations and that they will continue until the rate increase doesn't exceed 15%. He says he estimates the rate application could be finalized by the end of October. Jocelyn Chappelle, CBC News, Yellowknife.
In Nunavut, the Kudlik Energy Corporation, or QEC, says a new proposed charge for some businesses is about them paying their fair share. It's targeted at those who generate their own electricity but use QEC's supply as a backup source. QEC says currently there are no commercial customers doing this, but it anticipates that'll change in the future. If approved, there will be a connection fee and a monthly fee. QEC's president says the company doesn't see this as a deterrent for businesses to go green.
So those that are coming up with their own renewable projects to generate their electricity, they're heavily funded, which is fantastic news. They reduce our reliance on diesel fuel, which is fantastic news. We certainly encourage that. This is just a means to protect our current ratepayers from paying more.
Douglas says the proposed charges would help with the costs of technicians and infrastructure maintenance. The Utility Rates Review Council is seeking public feedback on this proposal until September 8th. In the Northwest Territories, educators are worrying about what the upcoming school year will look like. That's because across Yellowknife and the Territory, schools are expected to be down dozens of support staff. Some 79 education assistants who worked at YK1 schools last year likely won't be returning. And the same goes for another 90 EAs throughout the NWT. All of these positions were paid for through Jordan's Principle, which makes federal funding available for First Nations children who need extra supports. Now, changes to how the government administers Jordan's Principle mean the federal government likely won't be funding those positions. We looked at how those changes could affect one school in particular, Mildred Hall School in Yellowknife. Sydney Cohen joins me now with what she found. So Sydney, why did you focus specifically on Mildred Hall? What's happening there?
So Mildred Hall goes from JK to grade 8, and sources connected with the school told me that they consider it to have the highest needs of any elementary school in the YK1 school district. Mildred Hall teaches children with a wide range of needs, from children with cognitive disabilities to children who have trouble regulating their emotions. The school has been using Jordan's Principle funding for the last 8 years. Last year, Mildred Hall had 35 support staff funded through Jordan's Principle. It paid for staff who provided children with complex needs, academic and emotional support, mental health counseling, cultural education, and more. A teacher at Mildred Hall said that without Jordan's principal support, the school will lose a lot of its ability to meet children's academic and emotional needs. CBC isn't naming the teacher to protect the identities of their students, but that teacher said that across Mildred Hall, there are children whose literacy is years below their grade level and that they need assistance beyond what a sole teacher in their classroom can provide. They also said sometimes children struggling with things like anxiety or complex trauma just need to sit in a quiet place for a while. But if there's only one adult in the classroom, no one will be able to take them out. The president of the NWT Teachers Union says the likely loss of so many support staff from YK1 schools is extremely alarming.
It is going to have a negative impact on those children, on their families, on the remaining support staff that are going to try to scramble to meet the needs of those children that have to have those needs met, and on classroom teachers that rely on those other caring adults to be there to support children in the way that they need to be supported.
So what's changed now, Sydney? Why is the federal government no longer providing support to NWT schools through Jordan's principal funding?
So Jordan's principle is the legal obligation to provide First Nations children with the services they need when they need them. Disputes over which government should pay are meant to be sorted out later. Now in February, the federal government announced broad changes to Jordan's principal policy, including that it would no longer fund school-related requests from off-reserve schools, except in certain circumstances. In an emailed statement to CBC, an Indigenous Services Canada spokesperson said approved requests under Jordan's principle had grown at, quote, an extremely fast pace, and they pointed to a 367% increase in recent years. The spokesperson said that territorial governments are responsible for education for all children, including First Nations children. He said Canada already supports education in the territories through the transfer payments like territorial formula financing, and that individual families can make their own applications for Jordan's principal support. Naomi Metallic is a lawyer from Listagouche Mi'kmaq First Nation in Quebec and a professor at Dalhousie University. She says federal transfer payments have never been calculated on the basis of meeting the unique needs of First Nations or on Jordan's principle. I also spoke with Brittany Matthews, who's with the First Nations Child and Family Caring Society. Matthews says Canada is trying to narrow the scope of Jordan's principle. She says if the federal government believes the NWT is ultimately responsible for education supports for First Nations children, there are ways for them to eventually be reimbursed.
And what has the NWT's response been to all of this?
Caitlin Cleveland, the territory's education minister, says her department simply doesn't have the nearly $60 million needed to make up for the loss of Jordan's principal funding across the territory. She says she will keep advocating for the Jordan's principal changes to be reversed. Now, Metallic, the lawyer and prof I mentioned earlier, says both NWT and Canada have a responsibility to ensure First Nations children don't fall through the cracks, and that there are actions people can take.
If both governments are unwilling to provide these necessary services under substantive equality, then there's potentially a complaint against the territory to the Human Rights Commission of the territory. There's also potentially a complaint against the federal government to its Human Rights Commission.
As of now, things are uncertain for students and educators, but it seems increasingly likely that those support staff won't be returning to NWT schools.
Okay, thanks for all your work on this, Sydney.
Thank you.
What is the definition of a family, and how does that interact with family violence? That was at the heart of a public hearing in Yellowknife today. The GNWT's Social Development Committee examined Bill 27, which would update the Protection Against Family Violence Act. One big change is widening the definition of who is a family member to include people who are dating, related, or are dependent on another for care, like an elder. If the act passes, those people would be eligible to apply for an Emergency Protection Order, or EPO. NWT Justice Minister Jay McDonald explains the rationale for the changes.
the intent here was to modernize an already existing piece of legislation. So the EPO was already in place prior to us doing the modernization. And I think, there are unintended consequences at times. I'm familiar with some of instances where those may have happened, where people have, changed their mind, after the fact. But I think the focus from my perspective that we need to think about here is in the moment. This is a tool that provides safety to families, to elders, to children, to husbands, to wives, to aunts, to uncles. It's a tool that's used to address a situation that's happening now. And I think that our ability to expand and modernize the legislation to reflect our changing world.
The committee is still accepting written submissions on this bill. Those can be sent until Friday, August 29th. The health centre in Cambridge Bay, Nunavut, is now open only for emergencies until the end of August. Staff at the Kitimut Regional Health Centre say the decision was made due to short staffing. Some services will still continue. Those include midwifery and some doctor, lab, and x-ray appointments, depending on the urgency of the case. The health centre is asking people to call ahead if they are unsure. A new type of vending machine is popping up in the Northwest Territories. They're called health boxes. They're free to use and stocked with health supplies. The GNWT is launching them as part of a response to public health issues across the territory.
The whole point of having health box machines was to work with community to determine what resources they need, but to be able to provide 24/7 access to individuals in a confidential, anonymous way that they can access these resources themselves.
HIV self-test kits, condoms, and naloxone kits are a few supplies that can be found in the machines, along with health information about the products. Users can also connect to 811, where they can speak with a licensed registered nurse. Right now, the machines can be found in Betchacons Sportsplex and at the Hay River Community Centre. The machines will be operating in Yellowknife and Inuvik in the next few weeks. And we have a correction to a story we ran last Wednesday about a new solar facility in Beaver Creek, Yukon. We stated that the Sauce Solar Farm project was financed through a 30-year power purchase agreement with Yukon Energy. In fact, the agreement is with ATCO Electric.
The future is everything. Stories of incredible ingenuity, dedication, and some extraordinary teamwork. This is parenthood.
Take a voyage with me to the vast, remote, most extreme place on Earth.
For many, this will be a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Where the effects of climate change are intensifying.
The poles are a very rapidly changing place.
And geopolitical cracks threaten peace and stability.
Do you think there's a security concern?
I definitely do.
Experience the historic all-Canadian mission. CBC in Antarctica. Watch free on CBC Gem.
Want to get the most out of CBC News? Use the app or cbcnews.ca for live breaking news on the stories that matter to you. Whether it's local, national, or around the world, turn to CBC News.
It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
All of this, just single-detached homes?
Yes.
What do we know? I think we can explain.
About that with Andrew Chang.
Team Nunavut's opening indoor volleyball matches began this morning at the Canada Games. Both teams representing the territory lost in straight sets. The men's team kept things close against PEI. They lost by a combined 18 points. The women's team kept their matches even closer. They lost their final set by only 4 points against the hosting team from Newfoundland and Labrador. Both teams will play 2 matches tomorrow. Nunavut athletes returning home to Baker Lake are being greeted with cheer and celebrations. 6 athletes represented the men's and women's basketball teams in St. John's last week. There were 3 players on each team. A mother of one of the players organized a celebration that's happening tonight. She says it was great to see Baker Lake represented so well.
It's like huge for us, and as a parent and Baker Lake community, we're all proud of them because they work so hard. They help each other for the last year and encourage each other.
A wrestler from the community is set to compete this week. The team matches begin tomorrow, and all individual wrestling events take place on Saturday. After days of uncertainty and travel chaos for hundreds of thousands of airline passengers, there's now a tentative deal between Air Canada and the union representing its flight attendants. The agreement has yet to be ratified, but it could set a new precedent for the entire airline industry. Ali Chiasson has the details.
The picketing is over. Parked planes are starting to move again, and so too are Air Canada passengers, although full service isn't expected for another week. After the turmoil, it does appear this new tentative agreement has broken new ground when it comes to ground pay for flight attendants. So far, Air Canada will only tell us
ground pay is settled.
Ensuring that flight attendants are paid for the work they do before and after landing was a major sticking point in contract negotiations.
This has been part of our offer for several months now.
The union had initially wanted 100% compensation, but according to CBC sources, Air Canada has agreed to pay flight attendants 50% of their hourly wage for boarding and cabin checks, and that will increase by 5% each year. Today, CUPE said they'd wait to comment until their members have been fully briefed, but put it this way, quote, unpaid work is over.
We're very optimistic that it's worth taking a look at, and the free labor, free work will become a thing of the past.
Any compensation will be precedent-setting for how flight attendants are paid.
It will be a huge morale boost in addition to, obviously, an increase in the salary.
Does this mean ticket prices will go up to pay for what was bargained? This labor expert says not exactly.
Markets determine prices, not the costs of labor.
As for Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu's statement today, promising a probe into unpaid work after all this?
You know, that's I think, recognizing that the blowback, public sentiment seemed to be really on the side of flight attendants.
Even after the grounded Air Canada planes are cleared for takeoff, there's another thing still up in the air. Once this tentative deal is settled, will other airlines expect the same compensation for their flight attendants? WestJet's contract is up in December. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Officials in Atlantic Canada are trying to make more progress in their battle against multiple wildfires. In Nova Scotia, the Long Lake fire in the Annapolis Valley hasn't grown, but it remains out of control. And in Newfoundland, thousands still face evacuation orders and alerts because of the massive Kingston Fire burning in Conception Bay North. The CBC's Karen Pauls has the latest.
I'm here on a lookout point just outside Job's Cove on the Avalon Peninsula of Newfoundland. Just behind me, what's known as the Kingston Fire, the province's largest. It's now almost as big as Paris, about 100 square kilometers. Crews have been busy trying to control the flames and hold the perimeter. We got some new numbers today from the province on how many structures have been destroyed so far. More than 200, which could be homes or garages or sheds. Evacuees are being notified about their losses, but that's both complicated and emotional.
People in the reception centres acknowledge that making those calls has been very hard on the staff. We have, as the Premier said, not informed everyone yet, of their structures, because we have wanted desperately to avoid missteps. It is equally bad to tell someone that their house has gone when it hasn't, as to tell someone that their house is intact when it really isn't. And as I said, the only way of doing this actually is boots on the ground.
There has been some light rain again today, and it's been much cooler. That's slowing down the air suppression a bit, but it's good for the ground crew fighting the fire. About 3,000 people have been forced from their homes because of this Kingston fire. Another 13,000 on evacuation alert, taking what they need with them when they leave their homes, just in case.
I'm still worried. It's not over till it's finally out. And that's a worry that everybody around here has on their mind. When is this going to be over? It's going into the third week now, and it's still not still not under control. I hope now that all my family and friends can get back into the homes that are still there.
The province says it could take weeks, even months, before people from some of these affected areas can get back to see the damage. That has implications for students heading back to school in a few weeks, and for people looking for places to live as winter approaches. Karen Pauls, CBC News near Job's Cove, Newfoundland.
A Yukon exploration company has purchased a property beside the now closed Eagle Mine. The property used to belong to Eagle's owner, Victoria Gold, who started the sale before it went into receivership. Banyan Gold has been slowly purchasing the property since 2017. The deal was scheduled to close in 2026, but receiver PricewaterhouseCoopers fast-tracked the sale. PricewaterhouseCoopers says completing the sale to Banyan is the best deal available. It hopes to sell Victoria Gold's assets, including the Eagle Mine, before the end of the year. Banyan's CEO says speeding up the sale was mutually beneficial.
The reason why we would want to do that sooner is whenever there is a corporate transaction that you have to do with the receiver, that creates some market uncertainty. And so that's our incentive for doing this earlier. It also helps the receiver because they get money that they need to be doing the work that they're doing. So, it's a win-win for both.
Banyan already owned 75% of the property. It's paying $3.6 million for the remaining 25%. The sale is expected to close in late August. The government of Manitoba says a walking tour of an Inuit hunting camp that was advertised to tourists is unauthorized. The update comes after conservation and hunting groups raised concerns about the tour at Hubbard Point in northern Manitoba. The tour is run by Churchill-based Lazy Bear Tours. Hubbard Point is home to an ancient Inuit hunting camp. It's located 200 kilometers south of Arfiet-Nunavut. The company advertised the tours as, quote, life-changing adventures in a northern wilderness largely untouched by human existence. Conservation group Oceans North expressed concern about the tours to the Manitoba government. Its vice president says he's thankful for the decision.
It's an incredible place and definitely worth visiting, and I understand why such a tourism package like that would be offered. Our hope is that there's a management plan in place soon that's culturally respectful and that protects the heritage of that site.
Lazy Bear Expeditions says it's always been careful to respect important sites around Hubbard Point and isn't currently offering tours there. For close to a century, something's been missing from BC's Okonogan Lake: salmon. But now, salmon can once again access their historical spawning habitat. As Brady Strachan explains, the return of the fish has spiritual value to the Indigenous people who live near the lake.
It's a moment of pride and deep cultural significance.
It's history in the making, and our salmon will return as it was thousands of years ago.
With the push of a button, members of the Syilx Okanagan Nation restore a migration route that's been blocked for nearly 100 years. In just a few weeks, thousands of sockeye salmon will swim through this fish passageway and around the dam that's kept them out of Okanogan Lake, their ancestral home.
It's extremely rewarding.
For project lead Zoe Ilfson, it's an emotional moment.
It's the last big major milestone to get fish back to their historical waters, to get these salmon back.
Just to get here, migrating salmon have a 1,200-kilometer journey, swimming upstream from the Pacific Ocean through the Columbia River system and past 9 hydroelectric dams before they reach their spawning grounds. Construction of the dams blocked their migration for decades. But 20 years ago, the Silks began to restore habitat and remove barriers. They built a hatchery, releasing millions of salmon fry each year into the river system.
It's a really amazing milestone.
Biologist Ryan Benson has been part of this work for more than a decade.
Just seeing everything come together on a day like today, it's, yeah, it makes it all worthwhile.
The return of sockeye salmon also brings an important food source.
My grandfather and I used to survive on salmon all winter long.
For many here, the connection is cultural and spiritual.
When the salmon are going to come back up here, the land is going to sing.
And now, with the gates open, the salmon are set to return, carrying food, culture, and renewal back to the Okanagan. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Penticton, British Columbia.
A well-known former police officer in the Northwest Territories was honored today. Peter Esau began serving the North nearly 70 years ago. Family members and even some former colleagues gathered in Inuvik. Esau died in 2017, and today he was honored with an RCMP regimental headstone. Esau's work was well known as a special constable in Sax Harbor in the 1950s. Part of his duties involved helping RCMP officers from the South adapt to their new postings. He often showed them how to trap and live off the land. He was born in Aklavik, and one of Esau's daughters says her father had to adapt to a different lifestyle when he arrived in Sax Harbor.
He really enjoyed what he was doing. One of the things I remember him saying was that he had to learn from the locals on how to trap and live in a different environment. From the trees to the tundra, he had to learn a different style of trapping.
Not all special constables get regimental headstones, but the 2 veteran officers who worked with Esau made sure he got one. Eric Lafoy worked with Esau in the 1980s, and Bob Knights worked with Esau in the 1950s. Both former officers made the trip north to be at the ceremony. That ceremony was held at the Inuvik Cemetery, followed by a reception at the RCMP mess hall. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night.